following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, and we have got a great show for you today. We've got coming up on the show, ACC Network's Wes Durham will join us to talk about the ACC. We'll also talk to UT Martin play-by-play voice John Hatler in the second half. We've got a lot to get to: the Titans, the Braves, college football. Tons going on right now, so let's get into it. Also, a little racing talk, and it's not even Wednesday, but we'll also get into the Preds a little bit. So, going to be a big show. Right now, we just say hello to Mo Patton. Mo, what's up?
Not much. How's your Monday going?
It's going all right. I'll be honest with you. We've had some good things happen today. We've taken the next step in the preview tab for Main Street Murray down here to talk a little high school football. So that's exciting. And we're going to have something in our hands in about a week, and got jamborees on Friday. It's football season.
It is football season. You know, went to a couple of events over the weekend, to kind of get warmed up, kind of get in that high school football mode, because I've kind of been resisting it a little bit, but it's pretty much here, man.
It's understandable, man, because once it happens, once football season gets here, it's here. The next 6 months of your life, and it's about all there is to it. So yeah, it can get crazy, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get started. Really, I'm just excited to get to fall. So the weather will cool off just a hair. It is rough.
Eventually, I guess. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's can we just get to fall? Don't want to wish the life away though, right? So, but yeah, as I was looking through the schedules to get ready for the rundown, I noticed, obviously the Titans have a game this week, a preseason game. So it's crazy how quickly it goes from no football to all the football.
All of it. All of the football is here. Yep, absolutely.
So man. And
here we go.
Speaking of all the football being here, AP College Football Coaches Poll has been released. I guess it's not the AP, it's the AFCA Coaches Poll. But it tops with Alabama, not the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs.
I can see it. I mean, I think if you pick Alabama number one, you're going to be right more often than you're going to be wrong when the smoke clears. So I mean, it's tough to argue against it, even though they are not the defending national champions. Alabama and Georgia are 2 of 6 Southeastern Conference teams in the top 25, though.
That's right. And Tennessee just outside at number 28.
What do you think of that?
I think that's about right. I mean, I think this is a 9-win football team. So, yeah, I think 28 makes sense. And if they're a 9-win football team, they're going to end up being, 18 or 20.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought. I mean, I didn't expect them to necessarily be top 15, but when you look at maybe the last 5-7 teams in there, I think you could probably make a case for Tennessee. I mean, Wake Forest at 19, Wisconsin at 20, Kentucky at 21, Cincinnati at 22, Arkansas 23, Ole Miss 24, and Houston rounded it out at 25. I mean, I just feel like Tennessee is probably as good on paper as we sit here on August 8th as any of those folks. So
think the big surprise was that number 18 Texas earned a first place vote.
That is a little that's a little glaring when you consider that only 3 other teams received first place votes in the AFCA preseason top 25. Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia, the top 3 teams in the poll, and then Texas at number 18.
So let me, and this is completely off topic because I pay attention to college football, but I don't really I'm not going to dive into coaches, where coaches are, or especially, when you're talking about G5 teams and stuff like that, through the list of voters.
Mm-hmm.
And I see names such as Brady Hoke next to San Diego State. I didn't know Brady Hoke was at San Diego State.
Yeah, he's back. I mean, that's where he had his biggest success, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know that Joe Moorhead was at Akron.
I knew you were going to say that as I was scanning through this list. All of a sudden, I figured that was a name that probably jumped out at you.
Jeff Tedford at Fresno State.
Yeah, a lot of guys returning to their former
the scene
great,
of the scene of the crime.
The scene of something. Yeah, certainly. I mean, Jeff Tedford had some really good years at Fresno State before he kind of went up the ladder and came back down. And similarly, like you said, with Hoke.
And Fresno really hasn't been good since
he left.
Yeah. I mean, not to that level. They've had a couple of good teams, but he had them, perennially were really good. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting how you kind of go through this, and I think, my goodness, I didn't realize that some of these folks were back. And also, how much time do you think some of these guys spend? I mean, who actually votes in the coaches poll? Because Nick Saban is not putting together a top 25.
I think in most of the cases, it's your football media contact making those votes. It's not the coach. And, that's unfortunate because I don't know how much credibility it has when it's not actually the coaches making those votes, because some coach voted for Texas.
Well, and that's the thing, but also, how much credibility would it have? Knowing good and darn well that these coaches haven't seen Houston play, unless they're playing against Houston.
I'm gonna tell you, I voted on the AP Top 25 in a former life, and I think between covering games and traveling and that kind of thing, you really have to go out of your way hard to be qualified for this kind of thing. I think college football writers probably see less college football than a lot of folks.
Maybe back in the 90s, but do you think it would be a little bit easier now?
It might be
Twitter?
Easier now. It might be easier now to have a better feel for teams, but I still don't think you're seeing it because you're at games.
Sure.
You're covering games. And
you're not going home and watching other teams' games.
No, you're not.
So, because you're busy worried about what happened on Saturday
with
your team that you just covered, and you've got to have a story for Monday. Much less, you can't be worried about what Michigan and Utah are doing.
You've got to cover some type of a press conference on Sunday, or you got to cover a practice on Sunday, because a lot of teams practice on Sunday and then take Monday off. It's all consuming, and I'm just not sure how much more time there is in there, especially as college football is covered now, to worry about your number 24 team versus your number 26 team on your poll.
If you were, and all things kind of where they sit, do you think if you couldn't vote for your favorite team, do you think a fan poll would be more accurate than the coaches poll?
I don't know if it would be more accurate. I mean, I think you gotta, I don't know how you vet your fans necessarily, but I do think that there are some fans out there who, they get
Are
up
more
and they watch.
qualified to rank 25 teams?
They get up and they watch that 11 o'clock game in the morning, and then they're watching Pac-12 after dark. And between the two, they're only going to the refrigerator and coming back. I mean, there are probably some fans that see a lot more college football than media and certainly coaches.
Yeah, it's just a thought. Anyway,
Yeah.
the coaches poll is out again. Alabama is one of, what'd you say, 8?
Six.
Six.
One of 6 SEC teams in the top 25. And like you said, Tennessee is third among others receiving votes. So I guess they're number 28.
How far?
And LSU and Auburn right there on the edge as well. Now, big difference between, Houston getting 257 total votes, I guess, and Auburn getting 98, but still.
Sure. Yeah. But how about Cincinnati at 22 after making the college football playoff last year? That just goes to show how much people thought of Desmond Ridder.
Sure.
So
well, and some of the other seniors that they had, I think they'll be hard pressed to kind of reprise that. But I'm interested. I'm intrigued by the fact that Clemson is 4. Really,
we talked about it all year last year. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, we'll get to talk more about it here in a little bit, I guess.
We certainly will. We certainly will. But before we get to all that, Mo, we need to get to the weekend's results and today's schedule and give you guys the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Weekend pro baseball action was the Cubs 2, Marlins 1. Braves down the Mets on Friday 9-6. It was the Brewers 5, Reds 1, and the Cardinals got a Game 1 win over the Yankees 4-3. On Saturday, the Mets took a doubleheader from the Braves 8-5 and 6-2, and then the Cubs shut out the Marlins 4-0. It was the Reds a 7-5 winner over Milwaukee, and the Cardinals again a winner over the Yankees, this time 1-0.
Sunday baseball action. It was the Reds defeating the Brewers 4-2-10. The Cardinals with a 12-9 win over the Yankees. The Marlins blanked the Cubs 3-0, and the Mets with a 5-2 series closing win over the Braves. In minor league baseball over the weekend, Norfolk down Nashville 7-2, and again 3-2 on Saturday before the Sounds closed out that series with a 9-4 victory to win the series 4-2.
And in WNBA action, Atlanta down Los Angeles 88-86. It was Chicago 93, Washington 83. On Saturday in overtime, it was Dallas 95, Indiana 91, and Phoenix a win over New York 76-62.
On Sunday, Chicago defeated the Connecticut Sun 94-91. It was the Sparks of Los Angeles 79, Washington Mystics 76. Las Vegas Aces with an 89-81 win over the Seattle Storm, and the Minnesota Lynx downed Ryan Howard and the Atlanta Dream 81-71. MLS action over the weekend, Toronto with a 4-3 win over the Nashville Soccer Club.
Today's schedule very short and sweet. The Reds are at the Mets. That's a 6:10 first pitch, and the Cubs are hosting the Nationals at Wrigley Field at 7:05. In WNBA action, the New York Liberty down in Dallas for a 7 p.m. tip on NBA TV. And that's going to do it for your Monday Rundown, brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. Yeah, all right. When we come back, it's Wes Durham of the ACC Network. He's going to join us here on Main Street Sports today, so stick around. We'll be right back after these quick messages from our sponsors. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton here as we are getting ready to talk a little ACC football, and we will do so with Wes Durham here in just a few moments as we are anxiously awaiting his call. But Mo, again, you know, the ACC, and like you just said, Clemson ranked number 4 in.
We have Wes on.
We do? Awesome. In the coaches poll, and who knows what that really means. Out I guess the next team down, if you don't count Notre Dame, is 13th. Is 13th ranked NC State. Right. So I mean, the ACC. A lot of folks high on Miami. Curious what Pittsburgh's going to do as a follow up, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the ACC has to offer. And again, we are joined now by Wes Durham of the ACC Network. Wes, how are you? Wes, can you hear us? Is he there now? Wes?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Just barely, but I think we can make that work. Justin, I don't think he can hear us, Justin.
I can hear you guys fine if you can hear me.
Oh, we can hear you. Yeah.
There we go.
Absolutely.
There he is. Wes Durham, former Vanderbilt play-by-play announcer Wes Durham, joining us on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. I know that's way back in the Wes Durham resume, I guess. But Wes, appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon.
Well, I'm happy to do it. It was only 30 years ago, but I appreciate you remembering. Let's put it that way. How's that?
Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one that remembers, actually. But now you are moving around a little bit. You are up in the far reaches of the Atlantic Coast Conference today. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm a couple minutes late because we finished up our football tour this morning at Boston College. And I actually drove from Boston to Syracuse because we're doing the Syracuse stop on Wednesday morning before I fly back home to Atlanta. So I've been driving through the Berkshires and Albany and, you know, kind of central New York, as it were, on the New York Thruway here this afternoon. But it's all been good, and I'm glad I could join you guys.
So are you going to sneak over to Cooperstown while you're up there?
I don't know. I doubt it. I'm gonna try and lay low here for a day or two and maybe take in a practice with Coach Faber's team tomorrow, because I'm sure I'm going to have those guys on a game here in the next, 4 to 6 weeks, just kind of the way it all sets. But I'll take a look at for sure what Syracuse has got going. I did see a little bit of Boston College's workout today, so I'm trying to at least polish up some of those teams I'm going to potentially see here soon.
Gotcha. Wes, as Chris mentioned, and as we spoke of in the last segment, the AFCA preseason top 25 came out today. Clemson comes in at 4, pretty much the favorite out of the ACC this time around, and they're pretty much the consensus number 1 in the ACC. Is that fair?
I think it's fair based on brands. I'm not sure it's going to be that way. I mean, Clemson, I think there are 3 really good teams in college football right now. I think Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, I think have really good programs. I think Georgia certainly has a chance to continue, kind of what they started last year, making their second playoff appearance in 4 years and being in a position to continue that momentum in the East of the SEC. But I think Clemson is the best. Really good on defense. I think that up front they're going to be as good as anybody in the country. And they have the potential to have that generational defense that Georgia had last year and that Alabama has had on occasion. But we got to wait and see. I think the real questions with Clemson, Mo and Chris, are going to be their ability to run the football and the consistency they can get at quarterback. And their inability to run the ball, quite frankly, has been on display since they beat Alabama and Santa Clara a couple of years ago. Since then, they have not been consistent. Now, they got better at the end of last year running the ball. The reality of it is, though, that, whether it's DJ Uiagalelei or Cade Klubnik or, one of us quarterbacking, Clemson has to be able to run the football. That will make their throw game a lot more impactful. They've recruited, obviously, at a very high level, for the last decade or so. Dabo's got a great culture and a great program. But, you would have thought when they lost to Georgia last year, the world was coming to an end in the ACC nationally. And somehow or another, they were able to, as Dabo told me in April, somehow or another, we were able to scrap together, double-figure wins for the 11th straight year and keep our program from falling below the abyss. So I think, he's saying it tongue-in-cheek, but I also think he wants to remind everybody, hey, look, we've got a really good program here that's one of the better programs in the country. I think they're going to be challengers, though, and I think we're going to see an ACC that's really, really pretty good, and I think it's the best quarterback league in the country right now, and if those guys get off to the starts they're capable of, it may not be close by the end of the season.
Those are fighting words down here, Wes. I think some SEC fans might take offense to that, but it is interesting that you say that, because I think you're certainly right. There's definitely arguably the best quarterback league in the country, and I think that's where a lot of us who were skeptical of Clemson last year got that skepticism, unproven quarterback. And if you have an unproven quarterback, especially in a league like the ACC, you could be in trouble. Oh, I think we lost Wes because he's on my phone now. Are you there?
Chris, I'm sorry, I can't hear you guys. I don't know how your setup works there, but
gotcha. So Wes cannot hear us, unfortunately, Mo. So we are in a situation where can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Sure.
Mo, can you hear him?
I can. Yes.
We're going to go old school here and just put the phone up to the microphone.
Is there another way you guys want to call me back? I'm happy to do the show. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
You're fine. We've got you.
This is perfectly fine. We've got you really well. This may actually be better than what we had, ironically.
Okay.
So, like I said, what I was saying is that, you say the ACC is one of the top quarterback leagues, if country.
Sure.
And those are fighting words down here in SEC country. I think, a lot of folks think that Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, and those type guys are are right there with anybody. But last year's skepticism from Clemson came from their lack of a proven quarterback.
That's right.
And in the ACC, you've got to have a proven quarterback. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the teams with proven quarterbacks are obviously the favorites throughout the year?
No. And in fact, the ACC, I would tell you that the biggest offseason discussion in the ACC has been that Clemson's quarterback situation is they may not even have a quarterback that's top 5 in the ACC. I mean, you got to remember the ACC right now has not only do they bring back Brennan Armstrong, who accounted for nearly 5,000 yards of total offense last year. You bring back Devin Leary at NC State, who had 35 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on the season. You bring back Malik Cunningham, who was one of the total offense leaders in the country. Phil Jakovic, when healthy, was throwing at a pretty high clip efficiency-wise. And then, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when this happens in a couple of weeks, but Tyler Van Dyke of Miami is going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. And Sam Hartman of Wake Forest is on pace to set an ACC record for wins. So when I say it's the best quarterback league in the country, I just rolled off 5 or 6 guys right there. And I haven't still named Clemson's quarterback. Carolina's trying to make a quarterback decision. Georgia Tech returns a 3-year starter. And we haven't even gotten to the Southern Cal transfer, Keaton Slovis, who's now going to be Pittsburgh's quarterback. So, it's not something that we just, come up with and say we're going to go with it. This is the probably second straight year, Chris and Mo, could be the third time in the last 6 years that the ACC's been the best quarterback league in the country. Doesn't mean they're going to have the best team. Doesn't mean they're going to have a team in the playoff. But that particular position right now is a position of strength across the board in this conference, I think.
As the guy that follows us, George Plaster, would say, there's a little bit of meat on that bone, Wes. And what's interesting is, even when you lose a Kenny Pickett at Pitt, you've still got that kind of star power at quarterback. And even when you lose a coach, like a David Cutcliffe, the quarterback whisperer over at Duke.
Yeah,
Chris,
he can't hear you because obviously I'm on the phone.
Translate for me.
No, Wes, I hate that we can't get this situation worked out for you. And me trying to translate Mo's question probably isn't going to go well.
Go ahead. It'll be fine.
But, Mo, you have to give it to me one more time, man.
I was just talking about Kenny Pickett being gone from Pitt.
Kenny Pickett being gone from Pitt. And like you said, with, Wes, with the fact that they have a Southern Cal transfer and Ole Miss has a Southern Cal transfer, and it seems like everybody's got a Southern Cal transfer at quarterback right now. But, it's this Pitt team it's kind of up in the air. They could find themselves where they were last year, or they could fall off the face of the earth. Who knows?
Well, I think the one thing you have to keep in mind is the flammable nature of roster management right now in college football impacts everybody. I mean, Hendon Hooker, the guy you were speaking of a moment ago, is a Virginia Tech transfer who essentially lost his job, right? Mm-hmm. And transferred in part because of that. There was too much of a quarterback carousel for his liking, and I understand that. And I thought he was a talented guy, but he never got any confidence at all in Blacksburg, seemingly. He'd have a really good game and then subpar games. I think we're going to watch that happen a lot in college football. Keaton Slovis is a kid, who comes in off of injury. You mentioned Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. I mean, why is Jackson Dart at Ole Miss? Because Caleb Williams is from Oklahoma, went to Southern Cal. I mean, that just shows you kind of how frenetic this whole deal is. And, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch this play out because, the proven brands and the ones we talked about at the front are still the proven brands. And I think it makes really good, compelling college football throughout the season.
I don't disagree with you at all. Wes Durham with the ACC Network here. We look forward to hearing from you throughout the year, Wes. Like we were talking about in the first segment of the show, how sometimes media and coaches who vote in these polls don't get a chance to watch as much college football as we'd like, but us fans sometimes do. So we're all the time looking and excited to hear new voices and excited to hear familiar voices when calling college football across the South, especially, and obviously on the First Coast. So we appreciate you taking some time with us today and talking a little ACC. If you had to pick a winner right now, who would you say is going to win the ACC?
Well, I think you got to pick Clemson just based on their success in the last decade. But I think NC State's a tremendous threat. I think NC State, and I believe the Miami hype has to be proven. And they're going to have a chance to do it at Texas A&M early in the season. And, quite frankly, that may be a big ball game for both teams the way that one's shaping up.
No question, man. I'm looking forward to that one a lot. So I think we all are. But we appreciate it again,
Okay.
and looking forward to hearing who. Yes, sir. All right. There you go. No idea the issues there, but it is what it is. We are very, Mo, I just don't know that I can call ACC the best quarterback league in the country.
I don't know, Chris. I mean, he stated a heck of a case there, man. I mean,
yeah, but I'm thinking KJ Jefferson. I'm thinking Anthony Richardson, Stetson Bennett, who just won a national championship.
I'm not sure how good Anthony Richardson is.
Well, I'm not either. But last year again everything that happened at Florida last year, I'm taking it out and throwing it in the yard.
And that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, kid's talented. I can't say that he's not talented. Mm-hmm. But Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, who only won a Heisman Trophy. It would be real. Heck, the Will
But
Levis
then what?
of Kentucky. I just named 7 guys right there, and that's not including whoever Texas A&M has, who's going to be decent.
Whoever Texas A&M has, whoever Auburn has.
The quarterback at LSU who got hurt last year. I'm not saying he's a top 25 quarterback. I'm just saying that the SEC's got a lot of talent at the quarterback position. So does the ACC.
And you've still not mentioned Spencer Rattler at South Carolina.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have to. It's arguable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the SEC is easily the best.
I think it's a great debate. I really do.
It's a good one, and I'm here to have it because what else are we going to talk about, Mo?
There we go.
I'm here for all the
still talking season for another few weeks, I guess.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But I'm looking forward to seeing some ACC football because again, I think Miami is a compelling story. I think Pittsburgh is a compelling story. What does Wake Forest do to back up what they did last year? They've got their quarterback returning and is a dark horse for the Heisman. NC State obviously beat Clemson. Clemson ended up with double-digit wins somehow or another. So, I mean, it's a really compelling conference because of those type of things.
And there's interest in this area in Georgia Tech, where former Spring Hill standout Dante Smith is playing. I almost said Dante Jones, but Dante Smith, who is a Doak Walker Award watch list performer at this point. So, I mean, there's a lot of eyes on a lot of ACC programs in this area right now, I think, for various reasons. So it'll certainly bear watching.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Mo, we will get into a little bit about a little bit of pro football. Titans have released a depth chart. Some crazy stories in the world of the New England Patriots. So all of that coming your way on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Mo, we are once again starting the week off. It's Monday. We've got football at the end of the week. Thursday, the Tennessee Titans will take the field. And today, they released a depth chart.
They did
So
indeed.
that seems good.
Yeah, it's just one more indication that it's right around the corner, I guess. Like you said, they play Thursday, at Baltimore? Is that right?
Thursday at Baltimore. So let's take a look at this thing.
Mhm.
Ryan Tannehill obviously is the starting quarterback, but Malik Willis listed number 2 over Logan Woodside. Is that surprising at all?
I'm looking at an unofficial depth chart that has Logan Woodside number 2 and Malik Willis number 3. So I don't have the official depth chart. That does surprise me a little bit that he's number 2. You know, we talked about this last week, I think. I just feel like in a regular season game situation where you're trying to win a ball game, I would think at this moment Logan Woodside is more familiar with the offense. Now, maybe he's not. You know, I've not seen a practice. Maybe they are comfortable enough with Malik Willis at this moment that he's the second guy they would roll out there in a must-win situation. But if that's the case, that's pretty impressive on his part.
Think so too. As I am looking through the names here, Derrick Henry, Dontrell Hilliard, and then Hassan Haskins kind of way down there on the list. Is he a guy that the Titans should try to make work?
Well, I mean, he was your highest drafted running back, right? Is he your only drafted running back?
He might have been the only one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd like to see him work if at all possible, but you've also got a veteran in Jordan Wilkins in the running back room.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Haskins is going to work, but he's a rookie, and obviously he's going to have to do some things on some special teams, but you're pretty solid with Henry, Hilliard, and Wilkins, I think. And Haskins may not necessarily have to be the guy barring injury.
Sure. Wide receivers, Robert Woods and Nick Westbrook-Akine listed as the starting wide receivers with two tight ends, Jeff Swaim and Austin Hooper. So that seems interesting. And then, of course, Kyle Phillips and Traylon Burks, both sitting in the 2 deep. Des Fitzpatrick and Racey McMath. You got to feel like Racey McMath's going to make this team based on nothing but special teams abilities.
You feel like he is going to make this team. I'm intrigued by Josh Malone's status. He's listed on the third team at this moment, the former Station Camp, former UT standout who's kind of bounced around the NFL, but in OTAs and that kind of thing, you heard a lot of really good things about him. And he's a guy who has the physical attributes that you would think could really make an impact. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that situation with him develops, I think.
Looking at the defense, obviously that front seven is as strong as I've ever seen it. And the defensive backfield, I'm curious here because Caleb Farley listed number one, Roger McCreary on the second team, while Christian Fulton also on the first team with Elijah Molden sitting behind him and Shakur Brown. But and Chris Jackson on the third team, which I mean is what it is. But Caleb Farley looking like he might actually be helpful.
Yeah. And, a guy that you used an early draft pick on last year, even though he was coming in injured, you really want to see him, emerge as a difference maker early on. And right now it looks like that's the case. But going back to your comment regarding this front seven, you're right. When you add a healthy Bud Dupree, a Zach Cunningham, who you picked up midway through the year, and a Harold Landry, who's is he in his contract year this year?
Maybe.
Or did he get something done? At any rate,
I think we got something done with him last year.
Okay. At any rate, that's a front seven that, if they can just continue to build on what they did last year, it's going to be really fun to watch. Again, I'm kind of intrigued by Chance Campbell. They've got, again, I'm looking at an unofficial depth chart.
I think this is it, though. I think this is the most updated.
Yeah. Chance Campbell, who really turned a lot of heads last year at Ole Miss after transferring down there from Maryland, really had an impactful season on defense with that bunch. And again, I think it'll be worth watching to see what kind of rookie year he can have in that situation with the Titans, along with Rashad Weaver coming back for his second year at linebacker.
I suspect we'll see a lot of Chance Campbell and Roger McCreary's, Theo Jacksons, et ceteras on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Probably won't see much of this first team, maybe a drive, maybe two. But I think these second teamers are really going to get a chance, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. I like that Kyle Phillips, the slot man, is listed as first team punt returner. I mean, make yourself useful, right?
Well, yeah, make yourself useful. And I think there have been instances where the Titans have just kind of put somebody back there to catch the ball. And I don't think that's the case with Kyle Phillips. I think that's a guy that they are looking forward to make some plays for them in that position. So excited to see how that goes, if he can, catch it and get upfield and actually change some field position from that punt returner spot.
That would be nice. It'd be nice to have that for sure. All right, let's kind of move again. Titans playing Thursday night at Baltimore. Should be an interesting first game of the year, I guess, and I'm looking forward to it. Before we get out of this particular segment, it's not Wednesday, but this is wild and wacky. There's no question. If you ever find yourself running late for work, don't take advice from former New England Patriots lineman Rich Ohrnberger. Instead of facing Bill Belichick's wrath, Ohrnberger decided to purposely get in a car crash while running late to practice. It must be rough.
I tell you, the person that Ohrnberger hit is reading this and certainly feeling some kind of way, I would think. Fortunately, this was what? Does it say how long ago this was? He relayed the story on his radio show on Thursday. Did not specify when the incident took place. Drafted by the Patriots in the 4th round of the 2009 draft. Spent 3 seasons with the team. So, I don't know, maybe the statute of limitations has run out. But said he didn't hit the car, which was a church van, hard. But he needed to hit it hard enough to cause a dent in his own car so he could provide the Patriots with evidence of the crash. Said he gave his insurance information and some money to the driver of the van before leaving for practice.
Dang. Man, that's something right there. I don't know that I would go that far. I just can't. I don't know that I could do it.
Ornberger said he spoke to Belichick's assistant and waited in the offensive lineman's meeting room until the full team meeting concluded. First person Ornberger saw was offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia, who seemed to know exactly what was going on. Scarnecchia reportedly told Ornberg his stunt may fly elsewhere, but to be on time from now on.
Dang.
I know what you're doing, bro.
That's rough. That is okay. Anyway.
Well, he's Bill Belichick for a reason.
Yeah. He's got eyes in the back of his head and in your car, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. Shoot.
He has bugged everyone's car. Oh, man. Bill Belichick. He's something else. All right. Let's take a quick break. And go to halftime, Justin. So just a quick one here. Got a couple things I want to mention. One thing that is sports related, and apparently Justin's got a dad joke for me, so I'm excited. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joints. Back after this.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
So, Mo, the Nolansville Little League team seems to be on a roll. They've won 3 games in the Southeast Regional, and they await their championship game opponent for a game tomorrow night. And I just thought it was interesting that the last team to beat Nolansville was Columbia American Little League in the first round of the state tournament before Nolansville came back and won 2 to advance.
Second round of the state tournament. Columbia, they defeated Nolansville 3-1 on that Saturday, whatever that Saturday was, in mid-July. And Nolansville bounced back with a vengeance, coming through the losers bracket. Coming through the losers bracket of the state tournament after that loss, defeated Columbia American 16-3 14-3 on Thursday, forcing a winner-take-all game, and then winning that one 16-3. So, this is a team that is trying to get back to Williamsport. They were up there last year, and seems like they're kind of on a mission. As you said, they've not lost since that 3-1 loss to Columbia American. And I think when you've done it once, it becomes a little easier to do it a second time. And I think that may have been the issue with Columbia American when they were sitting there in the winners bracket, needing one more win to get to the Southeast Regional down in Warner Robins, Georgia. And you've seen this at other levels of competition. Sometimes you just need to win to prove that you can win to yourself as much as anybody else. And again, this Nolansville team, this Nolansville program has certainly proven that for themselves and have themselves in a pretty good spot right here.
Yeah, no question. Justin, you said you had one. You had a
Yes.
dad joke, so I'm very curious as to
I've been holding on to this.
what you've got there as you come on here wearing disgusting colors.
Man, I don't know what that's all about.
My dad grew up in San Francisco, so I grew up watching Barry Bombs. I guess that should be his
Barry
name.
Bombs.
Drop bombs. So I'm obsessed with the Giants just because of that, basically. But
I understand.
It's a family thing. But all right, as far as my dad joke, that is, well, actually I saw it on the internet, but here we go. So what does a drummer name his two daughters?
Chris, I know this one if you don't, but I'm not gonna ruin it. I'm not gonna spoil it for Justin.
Thank you.
I don't know the answer.
All right. So a drummer names his daughters, two of them, Anna 1, Anna 2.
That's good. Anna 1 and a 2. I like it. I like it.
Thank you, Mo, for not spoiling.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you.
Do you speaking of kids' names, do you know what God's first name is? Andy.
It's what?
Andy. Andy walks with me. Andy talks with me.
That's a good one. One for the whole family.
Mo's like, I can't take this.
I really can't. Can we get to a break?
We can.
Yeah.
We can take a break here on National Jeff Fisher Day as we.
Hey, Nate.
We'll be back on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Yes, taking a strays. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Mo, it is not National Jeff Fisher Day, but it is National Dollar Day. In 1786, the United States established its monetary system on this date. And in 1862, the United States printed its first dollar bill. Do you know whose face was on the dollar bill?
I have no idea.
Salmon P. Chase, President Lincoln's Secretary of Treasury, because he was printing the bill. So he was like, if I'm going to print this thing, I'm going to put my face on it.
There you go. Drink has its privilege, right? I'm not mad at him.
Sometimes you gotta promote yourself.
There you go. There you go.
Saying.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I'm trying to avoid talking about the Atlanta Braves. So
yeah, well, we committed to it. So
unfortunately, we have in fact committed to it. And today's Braves segment is brought to you by Insert Your Business Here. Don't forget, you can always sponsor a segment right here on Main Street Sports Today. Just give us a shout. We're easy to find. Mo, the question I ask is, after taking a full step back this weekend in at least, is this race over?
It's tough to think that it's not after losing 4 or 5 to the Mets. And the starter in the one game that you won is now somewhere between Boston and Gwinnett. It was tough, man. I mean, it was tough to watch. And in fact, I did not watch at all times. At one point, the only suspense to yesterday's game was whether or not Jacob deGrom was going to throw a perfect one. It was not the performance that you needed or wanted or expected, I don't think, out of the Atlanta Braves.
I think Saturday's performance with Max Fried on the hill is the one you look at and you go, okay, if they're this guy that way, how do the Braves compete with this team?
And the thing about it is, at the risk of sounding like Chip Carey, there was a lot of soft contact over the course of that series, but it counts. They hit a ball off third base last night to score 2 runs. They hit a ball kind of into the Bermuda Triangle behind third base where the third baseman, the left fielder, and the shortstop, none of them could get to it to score a run. They weren't scorching balls all weekend.
The 2-run single that, was scorched past Austin Riley just took a weird hop. I mean, if it's just a normal ground ball, it's a double play.
Right.
And instead it ends up in left field and 2-run score.
Yeah. So, will the Mets' luck run out by the end of the regular season? Hard to say. But also, this team plays differently than Atlanta does. And it works for them. I think it was mentioned that they have more infield hits than anybody else, certainly in the National League, possibly in baseball. They had 3 pinch hit RBIs through the series, I think. They dropped a squeeze bunt, suicide squeeze. I mean, they play small ball and kind of proved a point that I've tried to make for years. You can win playing small ball.
Buck Showalter, baby.
Yeah, they've got him, and we most definitely do not. So,
well, I don't know if it was over, but was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, don't stop him. He's on a roll. I think what happens next with 2 games in Boston and 4 games in 3 days in Miami goes a long way. I mean, sometimes it's a matter of how you respond to adversity, and for everything that the Braves have done to get themselves back in this race, to find themselves 6.5 games back on August 8th is a little discouraging. But, they're still the defending World Series champions, and I think that's got to mean something.
And there's still some really good pitching on this team.
Well, and there's still a couple of key cogs, 3 maybe, that you're still kind of waiting on to get back in Ozzie Albies, Kirby Yates, and Mike Soroka. And feels like we've been saying that all year, but doesn't make it not true. So I think Ozzie is going to mean a lot to this team when he gets back, both offensively and defensively. If Soroka can get back, I think it gives that whole clubhouse a lift. And Yates is another bullet in that bullpen.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know when we're going to see Ozzie back. He took another, step back in his rehab. So I just don't know when that's going to be. But whenever it may be, he will certainly help as long as we can get him, sometime maybe this month. That would be ideal. Looking ahead, like you said, Boston and 4 with the Marlins really feels like it could be what the doctor ordered. But then again, you got to beat these teams. You can't go to Boston and then do something silly like split these next 6 games.
You've got to sweep Boston.
You got to win. I mean, both of these teams, neither one of them are very good, so you got to figure it out.
I mean, yeah, anything less than 5-1 over this next 6 is really disappointing. And I don't know who the Mets have over this next little bit, but the way they're playing right now, I don't know that you can really count on any help from anybody else. So
there you
you
go.
had a chance to do your own dirty work and failed miserably. They go to Cincinnati starting tonight. Was that in the rundown?
It was. I think it's you got them at Cincinnati because I've got them at home.
That's probably right. I probably misread something just now.
I think they're at home against the Reds. So
yeah, they are at home for 3 against Cincinnati today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, off Thursday, and then they're at home against Philly for 3 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before coming to Atlanta for 4. So I think that quick turnaround and that bad taste in their mouth could have an impact next week. So we'll see how that one goes. But
let's hope so.
I don't know that you can depend on a whole lot of help from Cincinnati or from Philadelphia over the remainder of their homestand. So you got to keep pace over this next bit.
No question. All right, Mo, tell us what happened this day in Braves history.
Oh, on April 8th, 2014, Justin and BJ Upton each hit 2-out, 2-run homers in the opening 2 innings of Atlanta's 7-6 win over Steven Strasburg and the visiting Washington Nationals. It marked the 5th time the brothers had gone yard in the same game, setting a major league record. The Uptons had been tied with Vladimir and Wilton Guerrero and with Jason and Jeremy Giambi. Both pairs had performed the feat 4 times each. So y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Upton here. Upton here.
There we go.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to preview the OVC. That's right. And we'll be joined by the voice of the Warhawks, John Hatler.
Skyhawks.
Sticker. Skyhawks. That's right. Warhawks are down south. Right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton coming to you from, well, Franklin and Columbia and everywhere else around the mid-state, I guess, from all over. And happy to be doing it as we continue covering college football and previewing each area conference, each conference that is at least connected to the mid-state and every Power 5 conference. And we were unable to get to the OVC last week when we had planned. So luckily we were able to make that happen today as we have the voice of the UT Martin Skyhawks. Sorry, Warhawks are down in it. They have a very similar logo, but AUM. And it kind of messes me up. The UT Martin Skyhawks, John Hatler joins us now. John, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today. And, I pay attention to a lot of what you guys do in Middle Tennessee. We've got a lot of contacts from, I was one of those guys that was able to squeeze a 4-year education into 8 years at UT Martin. So I've got a lot of contacts in Middle Tennessee, and hopefully we'll hear about it. We'll do such a good job. They appreciate it.
Well, I'm sure you will, because I've run into a few of those West Tennessee folks out and about here over the last little bit. So hopefully they're checking us out. But hey, obviously UT Martin coming off of a big season, and Jason Simpson trying to guide that program to yet again another postseason berth, I guess. But John, I think the biggest thing in the OVC right now is who's in the OVC.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's something that's on everybody's mind and what's going on. Of course, Murray State will be leaving after this year. Austin Peay's left and gone to the A-Sun. EKU went to the A-Sun. So it's going through some growing pains. We've seen it happen at the FBS level where when things get bigger and people want to bite off bigger chunks of the elephant, that other people get caught up in the wash. And that's kind of happened at the FCS level. But Ohio Valley Conference has kind of gone stable footing right now. I know that sounds crazy, but there's the losses, I think, are over for now as far as losing teams going. I know that there are teams in the pipeline that are really taking a good hard look at the Ohio Valley Conference. We're in a really good position financially to make some runs at some schools. But most importantly, we're keeping our automatic qualifier. So that's the most important thing, is having those 6 football playing schools so you can keep your automatic qualifier and do what UT Martin did last year and not only win the conference, but go on the road at Missouri State and pick up a huge win and take it to Montana State, where played well, but it was just a situation where Montana State was really good and we saw them in the national championship game. But yeah, Tennessee State still in and Tennessee Tech, UT Martin, SEMO, there's some of those schools that are still making that effort to stay in and make this a go of it. Eastern Illinois, and of course, Lindenwood's coming in officially in 2 years. So the OVC's there, and it's on stable footing for now. We'll just hope it continues to stay that way.
The Skyhawks receiving 10 of 14 first place votes in the preseason predictions, I guess, that came out of OVC Media Day. John, what is it about this Skyhawk team in particular that has folks picking them to run things in the OVC yet again?
Well, I think their 2 most important components are the head coach, Jason Simpson, starting his 17th season at the helm of the Skyhawks. So there's consistency there. A lot of turnover in the conference with a lot of new coaches. Eastern Illinois got a new one. Tom Matukowicz at SEMO has been there. He's kind of got that program going. Dean Hood's going to be in his 3rd year at Murray State. But for this year, but I think Coach Jason Simpson providing some stability at the head coaching level, number 1. Number 2, it's this defense. Jeff Bird brought this 3-3-5 in several years ago. Jordan Hankins, who's now the linebackers coach at the University of Memphis, an assistant special teams coordinator, really put his stamp on it and took it to the next level. Now Chris Polizzi, who's been at UT Martin for several years, is putting his own seal of approval on that 3-3-5 as well. We're also returning a lot of seniors, especially on the offensive line, a lot of kids with experience. But, I really think it's the defense and it's Coach Jason Simpson, and then kind of the tertiary part of it is offensively with Zach Wallace coming back, Dresser Wynn, a name that I'm sure you all know from your work in Middle Tennessee, won a state championship at Dresden High School in 2016, is taken back over at the quarterback position. There's a lot of excitement in Martin, and those 10 of 14 votes were very well deserved. Quite frankly, it's kind of wonder why he didn't get all 14, but who cares? I mean, it doesn't matter till you play. But this team is going to be leadership heavy, very good on defense, stable head coach, and an offense that can be very, very explosive.
You mentioned that offensive line, and 3 of the 7 first-team offensive linemen come from UT Martin. So that just goes to show that this team gets it done where it counts up front, and that's certainly going to be a big deal for a first-year quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dresser might as well be a first-year quarterback, but the truth of it is the guy's gone through so many injuries. He got his red shirt burned 6 games into the season, then suffered just 2 terrible injuries in back-to-back years. It kind of knocked him out. He wasn't ready to start that 3rd or 4th season there. Keon Howard comes in and was the OVC Offensive Player of the Year last year and secured that spot. But Dresser came in when Keon got hurt 2 weeks to go last year in the regular season. Dresser comes in, goes to Missouri State. Huge road upset for this program. First playoff win in Division I history for the Skyhawks. And Dresser's back. And look, Dresser was a phenomenal player coming out of high school. Won Mr. Football his junior year, probably should have won it his senior year, but didn't, but still was a finalist. The sky was the limit for him at UT Martin, but that young man's had a run of bad luck. But he's back, and he's spinning it well. His mobility's lost some just because of the horrific ankle injury that he had at Austin Peay. I mean, this is a guy that when he couldn't secure the quarterback spot because his shoulder was still messed up, he comes in and takes over punting duties. Now, Wayne McWright, a longtime official of the TSSAA and the Ohio Valley Conference, a dear friend of mine, we both thought, man, this guy's got potential as an NFL punter. First week UT Martin plays as a punter, he makes all conference specialist. I mean, he's that much of an athlete. So now he's back. He's back under center where he belongs. And I hope, locally, I really hope. Sorry, guys. Locally, I really hope that for Northwest Tennessee that we've got a homegrown kid that lights up that scoreboard, because it would make Dresden and Weakley County very, very happy.
You speak about Dresser and his ability to spin it. One of the guys he's going to be spinning it too, former Wilson Central standout Colton Dowell, who is listed at 6'3", 215, 2-time All-OVC selection. Is that right, John?
Yes, sir. And I'm going to tell you, as good as he is on the football field, he's even better human being. I mean, he's the face of all. He and Dresser are the face of our football program. Colton got hurt last year. He lit Western Kentucky up. It was a lopsided loss. It was a 1-score game at the half, first game of the year. But Colton really had a big day against Western Kentucky, and we were all expecting big things out of him. But he got a little nagging ankle injury and knee injury, just couldn't quite get over it. And, it hurt us in the playoffs. We were very deep at wide receiver, but Colton has that big playability. He's a good body. He can run. He's not afraid to go over the middle. He's not afraid to go up high and catch balls that are a little bit out of his reach. But he's just a fantastic human being, and our community is blessed to have had him at UT Martin.
Speaking with John Hatler, the play-by-play voice of the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks, here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. John, you mentioned Tennessee State. They grabbed a first-place vote. They are predicted to finish 4th in the 7-team OVC this year. Apparently, second-year coach Eddie George has kind of grabbed some folks' attention with what he's doing over there on Jefferson Street.
Yeah, he did. You saw it last year when the Tigers came to UT Martin. That was a very well-prepared football team. They came out of the locker room. I was with my partner, Andy Collins, and I looked at Chris Brinkley, and we just kind of looked at each other, and Derek Carr, who was a all-conference quarterback at UT Martin. We thought, oh no, they looked the part, and they were a very good football team, and UT Martin struggled with Tennessee State. I was shocked that Tennessee State didn't finish in that third spot. I think you've got to stay with SEMO in the second hole right now, just because Geno Hess is an unbelievable running back for the Red Hawks. But Tennessee State is a team that, with Eddie George at the helm, they are about to make a whole lot of noise in the next several years. They are a scary, scary prospect in the Ohio Valley Conference. And, I don't want Tennessee State to look at exiting the conference. I wouldn't blame. I mean, I would understand they may have their eyes somewhere else, but man, I will tell you, the way that Eddie George and that staff is handling that football team through the recruiting process, going after high school athletes, getting high quality Division I FBS transfers. Tennessee State's going to be wrecked. I see them finishing second in the conference this year.
Their quarterback looks like it's going to be a guy that you guys are familiar with, Draylon Ellis, who transferred from Austin Peay.
Yeah, Draylon Ellis in his time against UT Martin showed flashes of brilliance. And then there were times where his play on the field was rather lackluster. But when he made that move over there, he's again, we talked about stability with Jason Simpson, right? Austin Peay's had some turmoil and turnover in their coaching ranks. And just that calmness that Eddie George brings to the sideline for Tennessee State, I think will benefit Ellis probably more than anybody else on that squad. So that's why I feel pretty strong about Tennessee State finishing second and potentially pushing UT Martin for that top spot in the OVC.
Speaking here with John Hatler, the voice of the UT Martin Skyhawks. And the OVC, like you said, has certainly seen its changes over the last couple of years. And I, for one, I'm looking forward to this particular season because I do think that it's as even as the OVC has been in a long time. A lot of really good football being played in the OVC these last couple of years. And that's, obviously when I was in school at Jacksonville State, it was pretty much JSU, EKU, and everybody else.
That's right.
And it's got to be exciting to see this conference come from where it has to where it is now.
You nailed it. There was a 16, 17-year run where the Ohio Valley Conference, I don't think, won a first-round playoff game. But Jacksonville State started handling the business for the OVC. Jimmy Garoppolo came out of Eastern Illinois. Tennessee State, Eastern Illinois, and Jacksonville State, I believe, all went to the playoffs that year and all picked up wins. JSU, of course, has had that number 1, number 2 national ranking, got to the national championship game. But you're exactly right. It was almost like the SEC right now, to some degree, whether it was top heavy. There were 2 or 3 teams that won all the games, and everybody else just kind of slugged it out for 3rd and 4th place. That's kind of the disheartening thing as a fan of why with the OVC losing some teams. Jacksonville State was still Jacksonville State, but UT Martin was getting to the point where we competed with the Gamecocks. We were starting to beat Eastern Kentucky on a regular basis. Then poof, they're gone. But to your point, it's created some parity amongst the league too. And you hate to see those established programs like EKU and JSU leave. But however, it really has, to your point, it has made the SEMOs of the world and the UT Martins of the world. And you saw it with Tennessee State hiring Eddie George and Eastern Illinois trying to get back to where they were. Tennessee Tech is another school that's gone through some coaches. Just everybody's trying to make sure that it's not a cakewalk through this conference anymore. And as you well know from your alma mater, it was at one time, and it's not anymore.
And that's, what's interesting about the OVC when you say that, I think, those 15 or 16 years really forced a lot of programs in the OVC to make a decision on whether or not they wanted to be successful in football. And in the last 5 or 6 years, you've seen a lot of those programs make commitments. Austin Peay did it specifically. I mean, they really, put a lot of emphasis on it. UT Martin, of course, Murray State, a basketball school really said, hey, we need to be good at football too. And I think that's and on top of all of that, what you've seen in the last couple of years from the OVC in the playoffs has proven that maybe folks were sleeping on the OVC even in those 16 or 17 years when they were not so great.
Well, I can speak to UT Martin's success on that, really, and you are right. I think what happened with Huddle and everybody getting really comfortable with the internet, you have the most educated football players when it comes to, if I'm not working out at X school, I'm going to go look at Y and Z. And I'm going to go find a school that runs the offensive system that I like, that plays defense the way I want to, and they try and fit their skill set into a system and into a school where they can be successful. And I also believe that, especially in an Ohio Valley Conference, one of the biggest compliments I give Jason Simpson, his 17 years here, he's had over 95 coaches leave. So, well, what does that mean?
That's
all
good.
All but about 3 of those coaches went up. They didn't make lateral moves and they didn't drop down. I mean, we're talking about the defensive line coach at Georgia was at UT Martin. We've got 7 former football coaches from UT Martin. They're in the NFL right now. Clinton McMillan just got hired for the Tennessee Titans. You saw that name come out a couple of weeks ago. I mean, those are guys that have been at UT Martin, and what that's done is it's allowed them, it's really opened up UT Martin's pipeline into bigger schools, FBS level, SEC, ACC type schools, where they're now exposed to a UT Martin with coaches that may go to Marshall. You know, we had a bunch of coaches leave and go to Marshall, and if a kid's not working out there and they say, hey, why don't you call my buddy Jason Simpson or Jordan Hankins or whomever maybe here at the time, call them and see if they can work out for you. And that's happened at UT Martin. It's happened at Austin Peay, at Tennessee State, Eastern Illinois. You see some big-time names from SEC, Big Ten, ACC schools where things just don't work out for some of those young men. They're showing up at OVC, and it's making the football better. To your point, it's the brand of football is better in the Ohio Valley Conference than it's been in the 30 years that I've been in Martin, Tennessee.
And I'm glad to see it. I really am. And hopefully we'll see a lot of it come through Nashville with Tennessee State, and, of course, the rest of the state and Martin all the way to Cookeville. John, thank you. This was enlightening.
Well, good. I'd like to think that we can enlighten some people from time to time about our little piece of paradise up here in Northwest Tennessee. But I do appreciate y'all's work, especially you, Mr. Patton. I know we're on the email chains from time to time with the AP voting for high school sports. And I do appreciate y'all's time today. And thanks for letting me talk about UT Martin and go Skyhawks.
Appreciate it, John. Thanks for joining us, man. Chris, we are heading to a break, I guess. Is that right?
We are, in fact, heading to a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Music City Grand Prix. We'll talk about everything we can get in the next 4 or 5 minutes. How's that?
That'll work.
Stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joints. Back after this.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Hey, welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. All right, Mo. Coming into Sunday, Scott Dixon was still mathematically eligible to win an IndyCar title, his 7th IndyCar Series championship. Now, after passing Mario Andretti for second on IndyCar's all-time wins list, he's now a pretty legitimate contender. So, navigating the weather yesterday was not easy for both NASCAR and IndyCar. A lot a lot of rain through both Michigan and Nashville, but the man Scott Dixon gets the win in another fantastic event put on by Big Machine Vodka and IndyCar right here in Nashville.
Yeah, they got off to a late start, didn't they? And then they got delayed during. Is that the way that went?
Yeah, it was crazy. But the fact is that fans still stuck around because, well, it's Nashville. We don't let a little rain hinder us.
No. We got partying to do. Yeah. Glad it went well. And again, for an established driver like a Scott Dixon to, put himself in a position to make a late season run here is probably a good thing. And to do that here, I mean, it just brings a little bit more attention to this event, I would imagine.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Hey, and we might get into this on Wednesday, but Marco Andretti, obviously Andretti, the very popular name in IndyCar, announced he will make his NASCAR debut running in the Xfinity Series at the Roval on October 8th for Big Machine Racing. He's kind of done some SRX stuff and has driven some of those NASCAR type cars. And so look out. Last time an IndyCar driver popped over, it has worked out. So should be interesting.
Who was that?
Outside of, I guess, Danica Patrick. Yeah, let's see. The last one, Juan Pablo Montoya did really well. Tony Stewart was an open wheel guy who came over. So yeah, it's
worked out pretty well for him.
It has. It's worked out for a lot of folks. So I'm curious to see how an Andretti, which Mario Andretti drove some NASCAR too. So it's always fun.
A little bit, huh?
It's always fun to watch Andretti's race, no matter what they're running. Over the weekend, the Preds signed a deal with Yakov Trenin, 2 years, $3.5 million-ish. That's after a career year he had last year. I think he had 17 assists, I think. So big year for him, leads to a 2-year deal with the Preds. And let's see, 3.4 million. He had 17 goals, 7 assists for 24 points.
3 goals in 4 playoff games.
And there's that. Yeah. It's always step up when it counts. Yeah.
Does not hurt. Yeah. And for a team that kind of struggled to put the puck in the net during the postseason, not that was unexpected against the Avalanche, but still,
when Forsberg's not scoring and Yakov Trenin is, things are a little weird.
Yeah.
And finally, final story of the day. I told you when we started, Mo, and you said should we mention this? I said there's got to be more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to Brent Venables, there's more to it. Head coach at Oklahoma put out a statement earlier today about the resignation of Cale Gundy, longtime assistant at Oklahoma. Gundy resigned, I guess, yesterday.
Last night.
Yeah. After a situation in which he says he picked up an iPad and as a player was distracted during film study and read whatever was on the iPad. Had nothing to do with football apparently, and there was a word on the screen that he said he shouldn't have read. He did read, etc. I guess he apologized. It seemed like a legitimate apology until you found out that he wasn't exactly telling the whole truth, Mo.
Well, and so there you go.
The whole truth, according to Venables, is that he didn't just read it once. It wasn't he read it, realized what he read, and was like, oh, crap. No.
Coach Gundy resigned from the program because he knows what he did was wrong. He chose to read aloud to his players not once but multiple times a racially charged word that is objectionable to everyone and does not reflect the attitude and values of our university or our football program. That is the statement today from Brent Venables. That's a second statement from Brent Venables.
Now, Mo, I want to ask you this, and we don't have time to get into it a whole lot, but I want to ask you this. If it is not the attitude and values of your university or football program, should we expect some sort of punishment for the player who wrote said word?
If the player wrote said word, then I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. I don't know what the situation is, whether he wrote it, whether someone else wrote it and he was reading it. We don't know enough, and I'm not sure we're going to. But I mean,
sure.
I do think the context of reading it multiple times, and I guess Gundy was trying to say, this is what you're doing while we're in the middle of a film session. I mean, I get that, but it's interesting. But to your question, I think that's a fair question.
I don't know. I mean, I would be curious to know kind of the situation, the context, and all of that goes with it. You just never know. And we, like you said, we probably won't ever know. So, but I do think that, if that's what you're saying, is if it's not indicative of your, the values your football program holds, I think you have to have that conversation, and, it's worth having anyway.
Sure.
We are well over time, and I don't want to get in trouble. So
let's get out of here.
Let's take it and come back tomorrow when we start our SEC football previews. Should be a lot of fun. We'll preview every SEC football team from here until opening kickoff on August 27th. So come back tomorrow at 2:00. Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. For Justin Kulik and Mo Patton, I'm Chris Yousing. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.